Okay guys, one last video for today. I just want to quickly tell you the summary of Antigone, which is what we normally would have read in 10th grade English after you learn the crazy story of Oedipus. Now I'm going to assume you watched the John Green crash course over Oedipus, so you know all of these characters and what I'm talking about as I'm explaining Antigone. Antigone is Creon's daughter. And at the opening of the play, a war has just ended. And we see Antigone talking to Ismene, her sister. They're both Oedipus's kids. And they're talking about how their brothers ended up killing one another in the war. They both wanted to be king. Doesn't work out for them. They kill each other. And Creon, okay, so he is now made king, which we remember was Oedipus's brother-in-law. So Antigone is asking Ismene, she's it's trying to peer pressure her, bad influence, trying to make Ismene help her bury their brother's body, okay? So Creon has decided that one brother is to be seen as the hero in all of this, and the other brother is not, and therefore his body should not be buried, but instead left out in an open field for the animals to eat and for it to just rot away. Now, we wouldn't want any family member of ours left out in an open field, that's for sure. But to them, it's even more than that. They believed at that time that their body could not pass on to the next place until it was buried, until there was dirt on top of the body. And so by Creon leaving her brother just out in the field, it means that he's stuck in this weird, like, middle world that's horrible, okay? By the way, Polynices is the brother that she wants to bury. Eteocles is the one who is getting the full military burial. Okay, I'm just double checking that. It's been since last year since I've read this. So Creon decrees that Polynices is not to be buried or even mourned, and then, of course, Eteocles, the other brother, will get the full military honor burial. So Antigone, and I love this because Antigone is a strong female character, and this is written, just like that last video said, BC, you know. It's pretty cool that at that time Sophocles decided to make Antigone kind of the tragic hero, the hero in the story. So the battle begins. Ismene says no, because Creon has declared that anybody that buries Polynices is going to be stoned to death, and she says she's not going to help. They have to obey the laws of the land. Antigone says, "You're crazy. We abide by the laws of the gods." And in this story, when we read it, there's chorus parts that are a little bit confusing because they're referring to Greek gods and goddesses. And if you're not into mythology, you've probably not studied that very much, but there's some interesting stories if you ever want to Google it. And so she refuses to help. Antigone goes, and she does it by herself. She puts dirt on her brother's body. She considers him buried. Well, the guards who were supposed to be watching him don't see Antigone, and when they realize what's happened, they went to King Creon and tells him what has happened. The body's been buried. Creon flips out. This is when we see him start to act like Oedipus had in the previous story, very prideful, unwilling to listen to people, blames it on the guard and says that if he does not bring him who actually buried the body, then he's going to be the one that dies. That guard says, "Not me, I'm out of here." But he returns to the burial site, and at this point, Antigone had come back. She realized that the body had been unburied, and she kind of can't control her emotions at this point, and just openly is burying the body, knowing good and well the consequences. But she says she's doing it for the gods. She has to, for her brother, too. Loyalty, family loyalty. And so they catch her, they bring her into Creon, and this is where the story gets even more complicated because we learn that Antigone is actually engaged to Creon's son. Yes, a family member, right? That's pretty normal in these Greek theaters, these Greek plays. But she is engaged to Creon's son, Haman. Creon says he does not care and he does not care if Haman cares, because Haman's actually in love with Antigone. It's not one of those deals where they're forced to get married because they're royal or anything. Like, they're in love. And Creon says, I don't care. I'm trying to prove myself as king. I've got to get people to listen to me, or I'm never going to have any power. And if I let you go, Antigone, my own family member, then I'm going to look weak to the people, and they're never going to listen to me, and I'm never going to be a good king. So that pride is an issue once again. And so, long story short, he condemns her to death. Lots of arguing back and forth. In the end, says, okay, well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave it up to the gods. I'm going to put her in a tomb, and I'm going to put some food in there, but it's going to be walled up, and she's never going to get out. So basically, once again, walled up alive, right? Kind of in a cave type thing is what I picture. Haman is beside himself. He goes to the tomb where Creon has put Antigone. By the time he gets there, she has already committed suicide. She hangs herself. He's incredibly upset. That's the turning point for the tragic hero. Creon, he realizes that he shouldn't have done this, and things are going to be bad because the gods are going to punish him for doing this. He rushes there, gets there, finds Antigone has already committed suicide. Haman is crying by her side. Haman jumps forward, tries to stab his dad, misses, and stabs himself, and he commits suicide. At this point, Creon carries his son's body back to the palace, gets there, and Creon's wife has committed suicide because she found out that her son had killed himself. So Creon basically is forced to live with this fate that's worse than death, which is that he knows because of his actions he's lost his son, he's lost his niece, he's lost his wife, and it's all his fault because he was prideful. Should have listened to those Greek gods and goddesses, and that never would have happened. So, once again, per usual in a classical Greek drama, it's all about fate versus free will. Are things predestined? Are they already decided? Or do you have some control over it? Which obviously we see in those dramas that they didn't have control over it. So, the name of that story is Antigone. We normally would read it in 10th grade. If it sounds like an interesting summary, please take the time to check it out yourself. Or, well, I was going to say I'd read it for you, but it's a really long play. I guess we could Zoom session it sometime if you want to. Think about it.